Good evening and welcome to the 888 Poker World Pool Championships. We're at the Bradford Hotel in Bradford in the heart of Yorkshire for some day one qualifying action in this event. Those of you that were with us this afternoon on Free Sports would have seen great wins for Darren Appleton and Sean Story, and tonight we have another fantastic matchup for you in round one of the event. We have got Lee Clough from England versus Declan Brennan from Northern Ireland. Lee Clough's final event as an amateur before he turns professional after this event, and one of the fancied players in the qualifying section to make a deep run in this event. And Declan Brennan, a hotly fancied player from Northern Ireland. My name's Simon Webb and I'm delighted to be joined in the commentary box by Dan Davey. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening. What a match it should be. It's a really interesting. I mean, we're still in the prelims. This is ridiculous.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Lee Clough's seeding will go up next year as his points, obviously because he had a very successful first year on the tour. But yeah, what a bloodbath these prelims are.
Yeah, and the format for the match, it's set play, which just adds to the excitement and the drama. Each set is a race to 4, best of 7, and we are playing a best of 5 sets, so a race to 3 sets as well.
See Declan Brennan, they might be new to your TV screens, but a young Irishman. I think he's only 22, 23. You could call him a protege of Ronan McCarthy. Maybe, is that fair? I think they spend a lot of time together, they practice a lot together.
Well, in that case, I mean, watch out, because there's no one better to learn from in the game, I think, than Ronan McCarthy.
I think we've said it before in commentary. If you had somebody to learn from in terms of shot selection, you'd probably choose somebody like Ronan McCarthy and to sort of model your game on. But Declan's a different player. I mean, he's certainly a different curist. He's comes from a snooker background. I think he had a couple of years trying to qualify for the main tour on snooker, and has sort of turned his hand to pool and made quite an impact in the last year or so.
He started off with a fantastic break. Really crunched that. Look at the number of balls that have made the top end of the table. Really caught that break well. He's made a ball. He's given himself an opportunity.
Yeah, I think more timing than brute force as well, which always the sign of somebody that breaks well. They seems to be quite effortless, the power they get into it. Very attacking Declan. We'll see this as you see really with Blackball Pool in general, but very, very attacking player. Should be a great watch. Yeah,
I've personally not seen a huge amount of Declan play, certainly live, and so I'm thoroughly looking forward to this match and seeing what he's got, because I've heard an awful lot about him.
Yeah, just eyeing up the plant, the red onto red into the middle. Or is he looking at red onto red into yellow? Oh, either way, great shot, isn't it?
It really is. What a start.
Yes.
You say he's only a young lad, but very confident. That's the opening shot you're going to take in the World Championships.
Balls fantastic. Of Steel, I think, has been sort of his way. He's had a couple of challenge matches, money games, with where you get quite a crowd turn up, kind of a bit of a nasty atmosphere sometimes, if you know what I mean. Not what you're used to in tournament playing. He seems to handle it really well, so certainly one for the pressure occasion.
Yeah, with people in the crowd that are, more than happy to try and put you off and, affect you. And
got a few drinks inside them. Yeah. That whole sort of maybe pub atmosphere, which you don't get in tournament play, but turns his hand to that, and as far as I'm aware, won every match he's played so far. Always backs himself to make a ball to pot as well. Doesn't try to leave himself too perfect, if that makes sense. Sometimes people will try and break a ball out if it's on the cushion, and Declan's one of these that's just happy to back his ability and leave himself a pot. I mean, he wouldn't have wanted to be as hampered queuing as he is now, but
and he's actually fouled. Just heard the referee call it, so it's going to be frustrating, because after that first initial plant, he would have really fancied taking those out. But that hampered queuing has cost him.
Yeah, and we see the knuckle there. Yeah, the knuckles just shaved that middle yellow. And
so Lee Clough comes to the table with 4 of Declan's reds out the way. These yellows are quite ripe for the taking.
Yeah, I think these, I say it a lot, but first frame of a match can kind of set the tone. It's the worst time to make a silly mistake. and that is a, you know, it's a different kind of error. You know, it's not a miss. It's not. It's just possibly a little bit of nerves. You're not, you know, you're not too sure how close you get into that ball, and these are the ones that can hurt the most.
Interesting shot choice from Lee, just deciding to use his free shot, get rid of one of Declan's reds. Sometimes players do that and try and put it safe, but Lee just wanted to get it out the way and just clear a bit more room.
Yeah, I think sometimes you see people try and be a bit too clever with their free shot, because after a foul you get one free visit where you can do whatever you want with your opponent's ball, and I think sometimes people try and be a little bit too clever with it, and if you could just make your clearance a bit easier by getting rid of one of your opponent's balls, then why not?
Well, we've mentioned Declan and the talent he's got and the sort of support he's got, but it's probably fair to say that Lee starts this match as a favourite.
Well, depends if you're a bookmaker or not, because I think they couldn't split them.
Really?
5 to 6 the pair, yeah.
I find that quite interesting. I mean, Lee's obviously, you know, he's a lot more experienced, won titles, and a lot further along in his career. So I don't know whether that will count for much, but it's interesting that that's how the bookies see it.
I think it says a lot more about how good Declan is. It's certainly not an underestimation of Lee's ability. It's more just how good a talent you know, Declan Brennan is. So we'll see though. Lee nicknamed the Tower for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and he's from Blackpool as well.
Oh, doubly sense.
I think it's a double nickname.
Yeah.
He's won a TV event before as well, Lee Clough, interestingly, quite a while ago now, 6-7 years ago, which probably the most interesting thing about that, nobody's surprised to see Lee Clough win a pool tournament. He's a great player, but he's known for being one of the slower players, one of the more methodical players, and he actually won that tournament, and it was a 30-second shot clock, which you wouldn't expect to be the case.
Yeah, it's fair to say, and Lee would say himself, he's one of the more methodical players on tour, likes to, you know, consider his options and will take his time on his shots. Yeah,
nothing wrong with that. You know, he sort of kind of jokes about it himself sometimes, but it's yeah, interesting that he actually won that tournament with I mean, we play on a minute shot clock in this World Championships.
Well, I was going to ask you the question, you know, how do you think Lee will cope with the shot clock? So it only happens when you're on the TV table, but obviously quite well if he's won with 30-second shot clock.
Well, Jordan Sheppard, who is arguably probably one of our quicker players, if not the quickest, certainly of our kind of elite players.
Yeah, the top stars, yeah, for certain.
Lee played Jordan last year, and I commentated on the match in the World Championships, and Lee won 3-0 with a 1 minute shot clock. So shot clock certainly not going to be an issue for Lee.
Yeah, and just to finish off on that shot clock, it is a 1 minute shot clock, but it's a 30-second extension per frame as well. So if you just have that one shot, you need an extra few seconds on. You've always got that extension if you need it. Slightly different to the other events we've seen on Free Sports, with the Premier League being 30 seconds and the Champions Cup being 45. But I think it's right for the World Championships just to give the guys a few more seconds.
Yeah, I think it's about right, to be honest. Especially over this longer format, you know, it's a true test of everything really, stamina, and it's you see Lee almost went too far there, but
he just topped himself, didn't he? When he hit it, he thought he'd gone too far, but no problems. Completes the finish, and he does take a 1-0 lead, and probably importantly, a 1-0 lead off of a Declan Brennan mistake.
Yeah, and it can often be the difference. I mean, in a match, but obviously these are longer format matches. But with these sets being raced to 4, you know, one mistake at this very highest level probably is going to cost you a set more often than not.
Certainly can do. Let's have a look at Lee Clough's recent history. Rejoined the tour in 2018 as a full-time player and had a very successful year as an amateur. I believe he won the amateur rankings, which is why he's now turning professional. But you can see there he's also had some decent runs in the Open. Quarter-final at the British Open, quarter-final at the European Open. So he's been getting deep in the events. Just one amateur event, just didn't quite manage to win an Open event last year.
Yeah, and worth mentioning that Lee took a break for a few years from Paul, but before that he was a professional and one of the top ones too. So it's kind of where he belongs.
It's a decent break from Lee. Didn't quite get the same reaction out of the pack that Declan got. Probably hit them about the same speed, you know, not extreme power, but a lot more balls stayed in the bottom half of the table. But he's still got a reasonable split, and he's made a ball.
Yeah, he's employing the cut break, which we'll probably touch on a lot more as the tournament goes on. Some players break, you know, they hit the front ball as hard as possible, or they try and time it and really connect with it well. Others choose to hit the second ball down, taking the white ball over towards a side cushion, and they feel that they kind of obviously you get a different connection. I think the theory really is that you control the white a little bit better, maybe from the cut break. Maybe you do get a more consistent split, but I'd argue that the very best breakers probably use the front on smash, as we might call it.
I completely agree with that. I think if someone's cut breaking, it's because they're not, their front ball breaking's not working.
Probably.
But I think the control you get with the cut break is definitely worth mentioning. If you foul off, if you go for a front ball break and you foul, it's going to really cost you. Whereas the cut break, it's a lot rarer. You're only going to foul if you get kicked in off.
Yeah, and also worth mentioning, say, Mark Boyle would be a really good example. One of the pre-tournament favourites, and had a great year this year on the IPA again, Premier League champion. He uses the cut break most of the time.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. He does mix it up every now and then and try something different, but the cut break is, I think, definitely when he's at his strongest. And it can be a weapon, especially on these cloths and these, you know, the cloths that reopen up nicely.
Yeah, very responsive cloths. I think there is an argument to if you really want to get into it, there's an argument for using different breaks on different cloths. You know, whether one's slightly faster than another, whether it's whether you got more, whether there's more reason for you to use a cut break, for example. But that's a long, and
yeah,
maybe boring discussion. I don't know, but it's let's get on to the
not for us to decide, is it?
Not for us to decide.
So this yellow does go into the centre. He has got a full pocket. It's just awkward queuing. It's the only problem.
Yeah, not so awkward for the tower.
Well, that is where being the tower comes in handy.
Yes. And
he's going to be hampered again as well, which is
Chinese snookered again.
Chinese snookered, yeah.
Yeah, I think this first yellow does pass into the corner as we look at it, but only has half a pocket maybe, so might be taking the yellow closest to this top left corner pocket as we look at it, and just drifting up in the gap and playing the yellow into the bottom left as we look at it. But
margin of error on the shot's quite small because you're quite close to your work.
But you've got a very obvious, and he is playing that, so it's just all about the pace here. That's perfection, absolute perfection.
Yeah, it really is. All he has to do is drop this in, and that yellow, it looks awkward into the centre pocket, but when all you're doing is dropping it in at dead weight pace, which he will be for the black, it's not a huge problem for him.
Yeah, again, I don't think we'll see him be too smart here. Well, he's looking at trying to play for this gap, perhaps, but...
Well, it looks like he's just off straight. My first thought was he was straight, but he's just off straight the wrong way. Yeah,
if he was straight, the frame would have been over by now. He'd have stunned this in and then just played a simple yellow into the middle, but... Yeah, I think the white's going towards this back cushion, which is the reason why he's just taking a bit of extra time.
He's controlled that really well.
He has.
He wouldn't want to be on the side rail, but when you're digging down from the cushion like that, you know, it's so easy to get into it too much or not enough, and he could have ended up in all sorts of problems.
It is, yeah, and I don't think it's too much of a problem. I think he'll just clip this in the middle, although the pot's not as much of a gimme as it was. I think the black will go into the corner pocket if he just slides past it. You never know, the overhead can be a bit deceiving sometimes, but I think he'll just slide past this black and maybe play it into the corner. Yeah, Yeah, see, that was the problem. He wanted to slide past it. It's fine cannoning it, but well, easy to say now. But I think if he was going to cannon it, he was only going to flick it, which has left him where he is now.
Yeah, and you could see on his face there, he's not in a position he wants to be. No, finding a pocket for this black will be creative.
He's going to have his... I mean, the double is covered. The double doesn't go because the red's in the way. There isn't a double into a middle because the knuckle's in the way, I believe. Well, where does it go?
And this is where the shot clock does come into play, because sometimes you want that. You've really got to come up with something clever, and you haven't got time for it.
He's playing it off a red, is he? He has it. Oh, it's a great effort, but just no legs. Oh, that's a great effort.
He's got the line absolutely perfect. Just the pace. Great effort, but it wasn't to be. So Declan gets an opportunity to counter clear as Lee did in the first frame. Looks like he's got a tricky first ball. It might have to go length of the table.
Yeah, I think he'll 30 seconds. Try and get this other red out while he does it, but well, as he left this, he wanted to make the pot obviously, and in doing that get one of his problem balls out, but he's missed it by quite a distance, and was always a very good chance he was going to cover this pocket. It's just, well, does it go off the knuckle, off the red? He hasn't, obviously, I don't think he's got enough pocket at all, but he might have a quarter of a pocket.
I think if you were right behind it straight, I think you could maybe just about...
You can play it firm, couldn't you?
Yeah.
If you could play it firm into the knuckle, it will go in off the red, but from a distance, cueing off the cushion, really, really difficult.
That's a great shot.
What a shot.
Really is. I mean, we talked about the difficulty of the shot, and if you're right behind it, you might make it, but to do it from off the cushion from that angle, brilliant. And Lee does take a 2-0 lead, and he looks very very content with that. Declan, that will just... It's amazing for me what I think with Paul, that if Lee just completes that break dish, Declan doesn't think twice about it. But the fact that he had an opportunity to get his hand on the table, he'll feel he should have won that frame.
Yeah, Declan will feel a lot worse now for having that chance and not taking it, although it wasn't an easy one, than if Lee would have just cleared up in the first place. See our referee there meticulously setting the balls up, lifting the black to make sure that it's exactly on the spot, which is really crucial. I think especially when these guys are trying to get into a rhythm and break consistently, it needs to be spot on. So it's a really important job that the referees do, and a player needs to try and find a spot where he feels like he can time the break and where he's getting consistent splits. And if the black's even just slightly different to where it was before, can have a big impact in that. From a player's point of view, a lot of people might not think of it, but
no, I think
a lot of the players do.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's definitely something in that. It has to be the same every time, and it has to be, but not necessarily for the player in that regard, but more it's just because that's fair. The same set for both players and in the same way.
Well, you try and find a spot that you break from that works. So if you find a spot where you seem to be making a ball, you want to stick with that spot. And if that black's if the pack is just a couple of millimetres sort of off from where it was before, it can make that small difference, and you'll end up blaming yourself when it perhaps isn't your fault. If certainly as a player, you need to make sure that you rack your own balls consistently, and well, otherwise you might be doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, that's a good point. And for those of you that are wondering what that means, is in the outer arena, we don't have individual referees for each table. There's a couple of referees walking around, keeping an eye on all the games, and if you've got a shot that you know will be a close call and you need a referee for, you call them over to your table. But other than that, the game is self-policed out in the main arena. But for the TV table, it is a full-time referee for each match.
Yeah, and a full-time referee on the shot clock as well.
Yeah, two referees for each TV match, absolutely. So my only question with this finish for Lee, every ball's got a pocket. Well, I've got two questions actually. One, does the yellow on the left-hand side slide by the yellow nearest the pocket? If not, he has to take them in a odd order. And does the yellow to the bottom right go with that red in the way?
I think the yellow bottom right does go, yeah, as we look at it. But you kind of need to be pinpoint with your white ball, but it's more the first one that's the problem. I don't think he's got a full pocket for it, but as you see, if you do play these at pocket weight, you can just get away with nicking that cushion on the way down. So
yeah, of course he could brush the yellow and still make the pot, but if that yellow moves away from the pocket, he might lose position. That's a good camera angle. It does show the pocket, the width he's got.
You see there, it just shaved the knuckle on the way past, but a much better shot than it looked. That
it's still not ideal though, because he's got quite a lot of angle on this yellow, and he needs to control the pace on and off.
He wants to kind of be in line with this red here, and straight. He can come slightly past it as long as he's in line with it. I think that's just about okay. He didn't want to flick the black really, because now he's just going to leave himself slightly more of a cut on the black than he wanted to. But
it looks a hair short to me. It looks just slightly a hair short, and if he has to play it with the tracer side, can he get the white out to be on the black?
Yeah, he almost needed to cut that yellow thinner into the pocket so that he missed the black on the way out. So just left himself a missable black, but you're 2-0 up. He's a great player, and I think he's settled now, so I expect him to get this.
And in it goes. So a reverse dish just to keep Lee Clough on the front foot, and he moves 3-0 ahead. And there is the outer arena that we were just talking about. Players out there will be policing themselves, but you will notice the referees in their red tops walking around. And there are the scores from the outer arena. You probably heard on the PA system, the TD just announcing the games. So all these games are very, very early stages.
Yeah, little standout game there. I think Mark McGawley is an Englishman now based in Norway. Very good player against Darren Appleton, who you may have seen in the Mosconi Cup. I saw him earlier, obviously on our screens in his first round match, in his prelim, sort of making a bit of a comeback in English pool.
Yeah, and I have to say, I commentated on his match earlier, and I was very, very impressed. Yeah, I think it was it took him about 3 frames to get the feel for the table, just the unique way the cushions just slide a fraction and the pace of the table and that sort of thing. But from that moment onwards, so from 2-2 onwards, he played all but perfection. Yeah, it was a brilliant performance.
Well, I think it's worth pointing out as well that he's a legend of English 8-ball. So he played English 8-ball pool for a living for all of at least 15 years, I think, before he made the switch to American pool. So been an English pool player a lot longer than he's been an American pool player, but kind of a Hall of Famer in both, really, to be honest. I think, ironically, I think in English pool he won everything but the World Championships, but was often considered to be the world's best player. That world title just eluded him a little bit, like maybe Mark Farnsworth at the moment. Is that?
That's probably a fair call.
Could argue, won everything but the World Championships, but everyone respects him as pretty much being the best player or the most consistent.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair call. Of course, he did go on and win multiple world titles at various different disciplines in American pool, and did he win a Chinese pool version as well? I think
it's just an all-round,
sport, absolutely
legend. To be honest, yeah, it's So and he's back out, back out in the arena. But that'd be a tough match for him in a prelim against Mark McGawley. He's a very, very good player.
I think it's important for Declan in this frame, even if he considers that this set isn't gone. He's 3-0 down. It's a race to 4. He's unlikely to win it because Lee looks like he's playing very well. But I think it's important for Declan just to settle himself down, if he can get an opportunity, just to get a frame on the board and just get himself a little bit more settled, so that when he starts set 2, if he does lose this set, he goes on to do that, more settled than he currently is.
Yeah, and we see a good shot there from Lee. He did play to play the skill shot there, because it opens up that corner pocket to this yellow here, which would be an obvious one that might be a bit of an issue for him. But we see. I'm not worried about Declan's temperament. I've seen enough of him to know that he's. And I think that might be the Ronan McCarthy influence. Known as a bit of a stone face and a bit of a poker faced kind of player. Temperament of. Pretty much a perfect temperament. So
to lose this set 4-0, just write it off.
Yeah.
Start again, set 2.
Lose this set 4-0. If he lost this set 4-0, he isn't going to look any different in his chair to if he won it 4-0. He's one of those.
And that's such a massive asset. It really is.
Especially over this format, because there's so many ups and downs. I think that's why this is the best World Championship format there's ever been. And that's why the tournament's growing. And I think obviously as our flagship event, to have a format which is right, in my opinion, just kind of sets the tone for Pool in general. And Pool is probably literally the fastest growing sport in the UK at the moment. So this format's for the fans, I'd say. I mean, the players love it as well, but for the fans, when it sets, we see it with darts, with tennis, where you get tie breaks, and there's more drama. There's more drama than when you play a long race and somebody takes a lead early doors. You kind of can become a little bit disinterested.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's a great pot there from Lee.
It's a great shot from Lee. He's
made it look easier than it was. He looks very sharp. He really does.
Really, really good. Yeah, he's just super rock steady on the shot. He's such a. I think he's another one that's very good at all cue sports. And
I think he would have loved an extra inch or 2 on the white, just so he's not hampered queuing. But you've already called in the tower today, and this is another example of why it's a useful asset to have.
Yeah, I don't think he's too bothered. Well, it may actually take this yellow into that he's closest to first, although I don't think that was his original plan.
Yeah, if he takes the yellow to the top left next, then it potentially makes getting onto the black slightly more awkward.
Yeah, and I think Lee's one of those again that's very good at kind of backs himself and will just leave himself a shot. I think you hear a lot of the top players certainly when I started playing when I was a kid and trying to learn and trying to get better at the game. One of the common things that all the better players did or told me or gave a bit of advice here and there was that if a ball doesn't need moving, don't move it. If you can leave yourself a shot, back yourself to get it and leave yourself a shot. And I think Lee just wanted to come a little bit further back there. If he needed to be more there, so that he could, after playing that yellow, get somewhere here. But he's just come a little bit far now, and the natural kind of stun shot would take him towards that middle pocket, which he doesn't want to do. So he is looking at cannoning the black now. Now, if he plays it at the right pace, I think he'll have some sort of shot on the black. He wants to hit it quite full. Yeah, it's a good shot. But he didn't necessarily plan it to this corner pocket. But by playing it at the right pace, he's always likely to either be on it in that corner or the middle. Have a black into the corner pocket. Worst case, a double. A lot of experience there.
And there is the first set. Very, very impressive start from Lee Clough. He's pretty much taken every opportunity. Maybe half a mistake earlier on in the set where he may have missed one, but other than that, he was in very, very good shape all the way through it.
Yeah, it's just a flawless set of pull from Lee Clough, and what markers they lay down. I mean, this, like you say, the bookies couldn't separate them, and I couldn't either. But 4-0 from Lee Clough, and he certainly settled in this match, and Declan just yet to really feel like he can get his hand on the table.
Yeah, I would say the key stat I look at there is probably the fouls. Declan looked like he was going to clear up in frame 1. That foul cost him the frame, and from there it was all Lee Clough.
Yeah.
And it is Lee Clough that takes the 1-0 lead in this 888 Poker World Pool Championships. And we will see if he can continue their form after the break. Welcome back to the 888 Poker World Pool Championships Day 1. We are in the middle of a round 1 match between Lee Clough and Declan Brennan, and we have just seen Lee Clough play a fantastic first set to go 1-0 ahead.
Yeah, just absolutely flawless, and the Lee Clough that we all, us players, we all know. It just white ball on a string, absolutely on a string, making a tough game look easy.
That's when you know someone's playing well, is that he is making the game look easy, which means his cue ball's on a string and his patterns are very, very good.
Yeah, we see not a great break from Lee though. If there is an Achilles heel or something that he would maybe say is not his strong point, I don't think he is brilliant at breaking. I don't think it's necessarily a huge weakness of his, but you certainly don't mention him when talking about the biggest breakers in the game. And I think Declan's kind of got to use that to his advantage, and well, if he's going to find a way back into this match, he's going to need to be getting opportunities from the break, and not where he wanted to be. He wanted to be. He was so close to being perfect. If he had just been there, he'd have had the perfect angle to play this red and go into his bad area here, but just ever so slightly off. So he's going to have to play the red that at the bottom of the table and come back up to try and get the same position as he was before. I always say you want to get into your bad areas early. Important he leaves himself a good angle. Doesn't want to be Chinese snookered. I think that's just about okay.
Yeah, he might have a lovely angle that he's going to go into the first red if he catches the first red half ball, but it's probably too risky to play it that way, and probably more likely want to just stun up into the top red.
I think he needs to go into the red that's next to the two yellows here, because more likely to...
That's come out really well for him.
Absolutely perfect. You always trust into luck there, but he gave himself the best chance possible. He played that to perfection. Played it at the right pace as well. Others might go into that, you know, not as firm as he did, or hit it a bit harder. He's played that at the right pace to, I think, give himself the best chance to get on it. But he's not out of the woods yet. He's need another really good positional shot to leave himself angle to get back down onto his last red. So it's a really important shot coming up next. It's all about the angle that he leaves on this middle red.
Yeah, it kind of needs to be either absolutely straight so he can just follow through, or have enough angle to be able to stun across to play both reds in the same corner pocket.
Yeah, and to be fair, if he leaves himself a little angle, there's a chance he'll be able to go through a gap, but this is kind of the last thing that can go wrong in this finish. Yeah, it's not ideal. It's not where he'd place it if he could place it with his hand. He'd like to have been a bit further over towards the middle of the table. He's going to... I think he's going to have to come across anywhere over here now. I don't think he can top it through. So anywhere in the circle will be fine.
He's got across nicely, just slightly awkward hampered queuing.
Yeah, anywhere here would have been fine. It just slightly hampered queuing. He's fine where he is. It's just for that yellow being in the way does make this more than missable. And at 4-0 down after the set of Paul Lee Clough's just played, there's a hell of a lot of pressure on this.
Oh, very well done.
It's really well cued. Just cued that with a lot of authority as well. Didn't there was no sort of dollying that in. There was no nervousness there. There was he played that with a lot of conviction.
Well, you talked about Declan's temperament in set 1, and I think he showed it there. That was, you know, 2-3 awkward shots on the trot he's had to pull out there. You know, all missable when you're under pressure, and he's come through with flying colours, and a very confident and solid finish. Gets his first frame on the board.
Yeah, again, that sort of stone face, and mentioned Ronan McCarthy a few times. It's just exactly what you'd expect with him. You wouldn't know what the score was from looking at his face.
Yeah, we've got some other top players in action tonight. Looking down the list, Jordan Church taking a 1-0 lead over Charlie Begley. Jordan, one of the other top stars that will be going through the qualifying sections.
Yeah, young Cian Monaghan 3-2 down in the first set against Andy Rose. Keanby, probably one of our youngest players in the whole tournament, wasn't he? I think he's
about 15, I think, is he? 14, 15?
Do you know, I think he's one of them. He's been around a bit longer than you think. I think he might be 16, 17 now, but certainly one to look out for the future. Really good connection, really good connection. Mentioned about the break there, and from what I've seen, I would definitely say that Declan's probably got a stronger break than Lee. So how much of a part that plays in this match is yet to be seen. But I think that's going to give him every chance to kind of get him back into this match, and it's the obvious way back in, really.
Yeah, you can feel that break. You could just the compact, the contact and the timing in it. It's so solid. All the balls just ping open at such a rate, and everything's flying up into the top area, and the white just controlled straight back up the middle of the table.
Yeah, and he didn't seem to be. He didn't seem to be kind of putting everything into it. You know, it was like you say, a controlled punch, if you like. And she made 4 balls from that break. That's quite ridiculous. I think reds or yellows were.
You mentioned, they were. But you mentioned Ronan McCarthy, how he's been a bit of an influence on Declan, and I think that one thing Ronan would love to take from Declan is that break.
Yeah, Ronan, the first to admit, I think, is so little wrong with Ronan's game. I think the one thing that he puts a lot of work into improving is his break.
I like that shot that Declan's just played. He's played it confidently enough to just stun that red out of the way to make sure he's not hampered queuing. But it's going towards the black, but he's played it with such control that it's just gone onto the side rail, not got in the way of anything, kept the black nice and open, and gave himself a nice open area. I think other players, lesser players, may have played that slightly differently.
Yeah, I think it's just not necessarily a brave way of playing, but it's just it's kind of a bit of authority. It's like, I'm in control. You know, this is my table. I'm playing my way. Do you know what I mean? And he's an half look good for someone that's just been pumped 4-0 in the first set.
Yeah, he's looking good, looking sharp. To be fair, we didn't. Other than that foul he made in the first frame, we didn't really see him, so we couldn't tell you how he was playing.
No, he missed the ball down the cushion, which was missable anyway. And that was all he did wrong, and obviously a different kind of error in touching the yellow with his hand while he was queuing up. But I think you've got to tell yourself that when you do maybe fall, there's different ways to fall behind in matches. Sometimes it's that you're not playing very well. Other times is that there's not much you could do. You know, Lee played flawless Paul, and you've got to sit there and say, well, I'm not playing badly. You know, when I get my opportunities, I'm going to take them, and you know, just sit there and wait for them to come. And Declan finds himself 2-0 up in the set, and we're kind of back to a fairly even match. Yeah,
2-0 up, 2 visits to the table. Break dish or reverse dish, break dish. Impressive stuff. Impressive stuff from both players. And, this match definitely got the sense that it's bubbling up.
I think it's just 2 players that won't know an awful lot about each other. 2 players that are, you know, one's on the rise, one's been around, seen it all, done it all. You know, he's not intimidated by anybody. Lee Clough, he's been there, done it, and beat all the greats of the game. Declan's kind of at that fearless, you know, he's on the up stage of his career, and it's sort of serving up a great match so far.
Well, we talked about Lee Clough's break in the last frame and a couple of times in the first set, and it looks like he's changing sides to see if he can get something going on his break.
Yeah, and it's never a good sign, is it, when someone's changing their break?
I always find the cut break from this side just slightly harder to get better, you know, good contact. And I'll explain why after the break. He's hit that so much better.
He has, but the white's gone in, and, you know, funny enough, earlier on said about the cut break, you kind of seem to get more control. And but if it wasn't for a cannon, the white was actually going into the other corner pocket, top left, as we look at the screen. And I don't know. Like I say, I think the very best breakers do tend to hit it head on.
Yeah, I'd agree with you with that. But let me just clarify what I was saying before. I think cut breaking from the side he's just cut break from, you've got 2 reds and you're trying to hit the bottom of the 2 reds. So you don't have that definitive line between red and yellow. And if you break from the other side, you've got red, and then the next ball you're hitting is yellow. So you can actually, it's just a little bit clearer that you're trying to hit. It's just that little bit crisper. I find it easier to cut break from the other side for that reason. And other players will be different for...
Yeah, I think a lot of it as well. Certain people, if you were to place the white on the spot, you know, up at the top of the table and the black on the spot down here, most players have a side that they would prefer to play the cut into, which corner pocket they prefer to cut it into. A lot of it's to do with maybe how they cue or if they've got a dominant eye. So I think that might come into it as well, as to what people naturally prefer to, which side they naturally prefer to break from. If I was going to do the cut break, for me, I would always start on the, as we're looking at the table now, I'd be over on the left-hand side. I don't know why, that's just how I feel more comfortable, but maybe because of cue under my right eye. I don't know if that, I think that's why, but...
Yeah, it's interesting. I just find it interesting to see why different players do things different ways and try and learn from those as well, which is something I enjoy doing, picking up bits from each player.
Bit of a tester here for Declan. Needs to be accurate, very accurate. It's a great shot. Wanted to come out a little bit more though. Might need to either thread through the gap between between that red and yellow that are together, or play some sort of cannon. Wanted to just be straight on this red that he's on now. In an ideal world, then he could have topped through, played the red into the middle, and it kind of would have been like an easy finish from there. So just needs to be careful here. Does that go?
Oh, it's very, very tight if it goes.
Wow. If that goes, I don't think he's got a full pocket.
I don't think he can see enough of the reds at the top end of the table to make a pot up there, so it must be this one he's nearest to.
It must go. He wouldn't have played it otherwise. Some top stuff from Declan. This will be 3-0 in no time in this set. You can see there he hasn't got a full pocket, but easy enough.
I don't think he's got the perfect angle here. Maybe he has if he wants to use this, come off on and off the side cushion. I think he made four balls, was it?
Yeah.
Just didn't get the quality of contact that he got with that one. But it's so often you make a mistake, you go dry.
You get punished, don't you? It seems to be we call it the pool gods. You know, you make a mistake, you're cruising, you're 2-0 up, should be 3-0 up. You make a mistake, and lo and behold, your next break comes up dry. And Lee Clough first in. You know, not an easy finish, I don't think, because I think red and yellow together cause a little bit of a problem there. He's even, maybe, is he looking at a 3-ball plant first up? No, he's not. Of course, he's not. I'm talking about
that red and yellow together that are in the bulk area. Can he not play the red off the other red? Is that an option? Save having to go into it?
I think he can, yeah. We're talking about this one here. I think he can play it off of this red into the corner pocket. I think that will be the shot that he plays eventually, but just really does need to be right behind it for it to be an easy shot. If you're right behind it, it's not a difficult shot at all. But I think that'll be the key to the frame, because I don't think it passes normally.
He will have an option potentially of just slowly kicking into that red just to nudge it on if he wants to in 2 shots time. So he's got a couple of ways of it he can do it.
30 seconds.
I think he was looking for a slightly fuller contact on that yellow.
Yeah, I don't think he'd have minded at all if it had just stuck just above that yellow that he's just cannon into there. I don't think he'd have been too displeased at all, because it would have allowed him to play what we were talking about. But you see from the time he's taken, it's not simple. It's a bit of working out.
Yeah, he's got an option to go into it from this ball. I don't know whether he will, because he's not guaranteed to be on the next pot if he does it from this angle.
He must think he can't think it goes, surely. I think he's trying to leave himself an angle. Yeah, we'll see from his. I think from his facial expressions, he's not very happy. Wanted to be. Try and illustrate for you.
Yeah, maybe an extra 6 inches further down the table.
Yeah, wanted to be somewhere around here so that he had the angle to play that and go into his bad ball, but just he's basically straight on it, which is no good to him. And
it's hard to get back to that area from where he is now as well, to try to have another go at it. It really is a problem ball now.
Yeah, you see Lee Clough there, just full of sponsors, run out of space. Well, that's what happens when you win 10 tournaments a season in your comeback year as an amateur, when actually you're one of the top pros.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen it a couple of times with a couple of different players, but yeah, he's a relentless winner.
It's the way it's got to be, though, isn't it? You know, if you can't just, like any other sport, you can't take time out. You've got to earn your pro status back again, and certainly done that with flying colours. Just
yeah, it didn't take long, did it? It's
no.
I think he was nailed on from about halfway through the second tour.
I think he was nailed on from the point that he kind of signed up as an amateur to be. He'd have been heavily odds on to qualify as a professional. Obviously, to become a professional, you need to finish in the top 16 of the IPA Tour rankings to get your pro card as such. And
The amateur rankings, that is. Yeah.
Amateur rankings, sorry, yeah. So the amateur rankings are made up of your performance in the amateur events, as well as the tour events where you've got the amateurs and the professionals. And Lee finished #1 by, I think, a fair distance. Didn't
Yeah, I think he was almost guaranteed #1 with a couple of tours to go.
Yep. And but yeah, in a bit of trouble now.
Yeah, that almost came out brilliantly for him. It almost flicked one red and went into the other, but it just brushed by. And now he, I don't even think he can pot the one along the top rail, but if he can, it doesn't gain him much advantage.
No, and these yellows are, aside from the two on the right-hand side of the table, the yellows are all there, and not only are they all there, that's a great shot. That is a fantastic shot. That's 25 years of experience there, just in... What a great shot that was.
Yeah, I thought he might just nudge the red over the pocket and sort of almost turn the table over and hope for another visit, but he's come up with a great snooker.
Certainly shows what a good job the table fitters do, because those shots will... If you haven't got a perfectly level table, those shots will catch you out. I almost don't like playing those shots on club tables, because you don't sort of trust them. You don't trust the...
Yeah.
But
it should be good conditions. It is the World Championships. So.
As it is, we have a great team here.
Oh, and he's giving away the foul, so that shot is going to earn him a great chance to win this frame.
Excuse me. Just a brilliant, that's a proper pool player shot, isn't it, from Lee that he's played there? A lot of people wouldn't have even thought of playing that and wouldn't have had the courage to play it. It's a horrible shot to try and attempt. It takes such good touch to be able to execute that shot.
Yeah, and I think it's worth saying, because a lot of people watching will probably go, well, why didn't he could have gone off the top cushion and just rested on the red, which would have been an easier shot to play. You have to hit contact. You have to hit a cushion after contact with a ball. So he had to feather the red first, then hit the top cushion and then come back down onto it. So the touch for that shot really was exceptional.
Yeah, and we see in the background there, just chatting away, Tom Cousins and Sean Chipperfield in their back on the IPA tour.
Yeah, we were talking about Lee Clough dominating the amateur scene last year. I think there's two guys there that are really going to be looking to do the same next year. It'll be no surprise to anyone if they finish #1 and 2 on the rankings and the amateur.
3 world titles between them.
The amateur events next year. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's just the strength in depth now that sort of kind of black ball pool's on the up that it is, and kind of the dominant force in pool, you are seeing all of the players from different codes come back over, if that makes sense. Get it in other sports, don't we? Rugby league, rugby union, the darts with the PDC and the BDO and whatever, but it's you're kind of seeing all the best players under one roof now, if that makes sense. And
yeah, and it is great to see. It really is. And you look at this event, and I've probably been asked 20 times just since I got here a couple of days ago, who do I think is going to win this week? And you just can't call it. There's so many great players playing in this event, that you just can't.
When you look at the tournament odds, and there's so many people where I've had the same conversations with you, and people are saying, oh, but Cousins is a great price, Scott Gillespie's a great price, and so-and-so is a great price. Well, before you know it, you've named 20 people that are great prices, and they can't all win it.
There's only one winner.
Really well controlled from Lee. Exactly what we said earlier, that one mistake 10-15 minutes ago, Declan should have had a simple red down the cushion for 3-0. He's made that mistake, that careless error. Lee, as he does, such a competitor that he is, he finds himself 2 each. All of 10 minutes later, and this second set's in the balance. And
to me, it's not just the fact that he's won the frame. It's the quality. Sometimes you can do it because you get the chances and you get the finishes and you can go dish. But he's done it with good dishes and good match play. It's been a combination, all-round game from Lee Clough.
It's exactly that. He is an all-rounder. You know, he can take out the ridiculous finishes when he needs to. He also knows when to put the brakes on. He knows when it's not right to attack. He is. We talk about shot selection a lot being really, really important, and probably more important than your ability to an extent.
Yeah.
And because you can just make the game a lot harder for yourself than it is. And Lee Clough's shot selection's probably second to none, or as good as anybody.
It's right up there, isn't it? Well, he's choosing to stay on the right-hand side of the table as we look. Last time he broke from here, he did foul, went into the top right-hand corner. This time he hits it a lot better.
It was a much firmer connection there, and you see that, these have come out nice as well. But you see it comes into the side, and then it came back across in a straight line across the table. He got the perfect connection on that for the cut break.
You're absolutely right. That's exactly what you're trying to do with a cut break. You're trying to get the white to go in straight into the side cushion, so it's going nowhere near a pocket, and then it almost goes back into the pack, and you get a secondary nudge here and there as well. And it really is that is it. But
when you execute that well, and perfectly like he does there, you are so unlikely to go in off and get kicked in off. And it was a really good break from Lee. Weird that seems to happen after an error from Declan.
Yeah.
And just always seems to be the way that, funny enough, his best break of the match has come at this stage of the match after he's been kind of let back in this set.
Absolutely. He was staring 3-0 in the face. For those of you that weren't with us earlier, he missed over-screwed a shot. Only looked to come back an inch, came back 3-4 inches, and it cost him the frame when he was flying and looked to be going 3-0. And now he finds himself staring 3-2 and a set behind in the face. His hope in this frame will be that red nearest the top right-hand corner pocket. It doesn't go to its obvious pocket. It does go to the top left, though. So he needs to try and get onto it there, although he hasn't quite come far enough up the table for this next shot.
No, he's underhit that quite badly. He wanted to be at the sort of centre of the table. He's looking now. He hasn't really got any option because there's only one ball that goes, which is this cut in the middle. He's going to be cannoning into the black, so he wants to push the black into... You can see now it's trying to push the black into that red and yellow, and even just the slightest of cannons on either of those is probably going to work out okay. You are trusting to luck to an extent, but as long as you control the shot and control the pace of the shot, it's probably going to work out all right, and you're almost certainly going to be on a red as well. So, tough as it looks, I reckon this will come out good. See? Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the red. He certainly hasn't got a full pocket for the red to the obvious corner. It still goes to the top left, and he is on a choice of balls to the middle pocket, although he'll more than likely take the one to the left centre.
Yeah, I think he'll probably go left centre, then right centre if he can hold the white enough. And then he'll just play this, the red at the top of the table into the left corner. But he couldn't have executed the shot much better.
30 seconds.
Just needs to stay away from this yellow. Top left of the... And for that reason, I think we're seeing him stun in and out the cushion. Has to get back up. All about the pace on this shot.
I'm not sure. I think he's
look too happy, does he?
I think he's an inch or two short here. I think he's almost dead straight on this.
It's been a while since he's been an inch or two short. Tower, 30 years ago. Yeah, I think he's straight, which he's going to have a shot. He'll be able to pot this and leave himself a shot into the top left corner as we look at it, but
it's the white with that shot, isn't it?
Yeah,
he's going to be going towards the yellow and the black and
exactly.
coming back off the cushion at the black, so it's the control of the cue ball.
Unless he thinks this red does go.
Well, I think he's got half a pocket. Looking at the overhead, I think he's got half a pocket, and half a pocket for Lee Clough when he's this close behind it is probably enough.
Well, worth pointing out as well, he is pinpoint with that as well. All he needs, you can see there, half a pocket if that, but he can play this off that right knuckle, and it's actually quite easy. But given that he positioning the white ball was so crucial there, because that wasn't that difficult a shot in the end because of where he left the white.
You can argue, with Lee Clough moving 3-2 ahead from 2-0 behind in this set, you can argue that mistake from Declan has cost him 3 frames so far. just completely killed the momentum in this set.
Yeah, and he finds himself kind of 7-2 down overall in this as well. But let's look at some scores from around the room.
Yeah, and John Church has dropped a set. It's 1-1. Charlie Begley, young lad from the Wiltshire area, taking a set of Jordan Church is impressive.
Yeah, another young lad, Cian Monaghan. I think when we looked before, he was 3-2 down in that first set. He's taken the first set and he's 1-0 up in the second set as well. Darren Appleton took the first set against Mark McGawley. So huge break from Declan. Even if he does manage to break this year, he might not get another shot in this set. And 2-0 down in sets against anybody's tough, but against Lee Clough is a huge ask.
And another decent break from Declan.
Really well controlled.
He's just got this white straight back up the middle of the table. You can see the white spinning a little bit, so I'm going to say he didn't catch it absolutely 100% perfect as well as he can, but controlled the white to perfection. And he's made 3 balls, given himself a decent opportunity. He'll be happy with this.
He will, and but I think not left with any obstacles really. I mean, the yellow, if anything, this first yellow into the middle pocket is probably going to be one of the only things that can go wrong. Every ball goes, nothing needs to be moved. Close cue ball control, and it's a fairly easy finish for Declan.
It's a good first pot.
Yeah, just cueing slightly off the cushion. They are missable.
Absolutely.
Under pressure, but...
And he's under a lot of pressure. If he misses that pot, then he'll feel all but certain to go 2 sets to 0 down. So definitely pressure on that. Pressure on every shot for him here.
Yeah, and he'll just be looking at what order he wants to take these balls in. This is probably one of those finishes where that you could argue, you could go a number of different ways about it, but as a player, you kind of just want to make it as easy for yourself as possible. So you'll just take as long as you need, you know, a good 30 seconds to a minute or so, just staring. Normally do it at the start of the frame, just staring at the table and just trying to figure out what ball you want to leave to last to get yourself onto the black, what order you want to take the balls in, and like we say, just try and make it as easy for yourself as possible. Sometimes that might mean that you don't take the obvious easy pot. If you're in the pub, you probably play the yellow over the middle pocket because, you know, oh, that's the easy one, but I'm going to pot all my yellows. But you see at this top level, it kind of goes, there's a lot more to it.
Well, looks like he's lining up for the plant. That was a very good pot down the rail. And the problem with the plant is not a straight plant. He has to pick out the angle on the ball nearest the pocket. I don't think the other yellow passes it to the corner. So
no, I think he would have liked to have been a little bit closer to the plant and a bit straighter as well, perhaps. Might have left it a little bit easier for himself, but should still be okay. Just a soft screw, perfect.
That's great control on that shot. Control the pace that the ball you've hit is moving at, and left himself a very nice angle. That's very well done.
Yeah, and he'll just screw to below the middle pocket now on the left-hand side. Just needs to get away from the jaws. They're absolute perfection, and this frame is over. This cannot be missed. This will be 3 each, and that'll be Lee Clough to break in the sort of biggest frame of the match so far. See, in these early stages, a few empty seats. I think, bear in mind we've got 200, well, more like closer to 300 players when it comes to your ladies event and your seniors events as well in this tournament. But as you'll see, as the week goes on, the arena will slowly start to fill up.
Yeah, there won't be a spare seats on Saturday night for the final, the men's and ladies final. And as you said, these can't be missed. They weren't. It is 3-3 in the second set, and this is why we love set play. We have got a massive frame coming up.
We haven't. This is, like you say, we love sets play because it's 7-3 in frames 1 to Lee Clough. If this was a race to 10, he'd be cruising. You know, and he's 1 frame away from being 7-4 up, but actually he's level. And it's a sickener if you're the one that's sort of, if you're Lee, I suppose. And for Declan, it's brilliant because, yeah, it was frozen off the table, but you reset, you start, you go again. And he's got a chance now to, although it is lead to break, he's still in this match. If he gets this, if he can nick this last frame, it's he'll almost feel the better of the two, even though he's behind, you know, in the match.
Well, his last break was a cut break from this side, and it was left himself a very good chance. He'll be looking for an exact replica of that.
Any ball, he'll just take any ball. Anything but dry. Hit them well. He's got a ball straight away, but he's spotted the black.
That black flew in. And unlike, you hear the shot clock gave her the old tone as well. But yeah, in other forms of pool, American pool, and the like, is that would win the frame, but not in black ball. The black, and all the balls just come back up, and we'll do it all again.
And you know what's going through Lee's head. Every player, it's that old thing. When you put the black off the break and you've made a couple of balls and you would have been at the table with a decent finish on, or a decent go at a finish, you just kind of always think, oh, well, I know this is going to come up dry.
Yeah, it's just a myth, but that's how players think.
It is how they think.
Yeah,
you can't help it. He's going to go back to that side of the table. It has worked better for him. I mean, the last two breaks, he's really has hit them well. Is he just not quite as... There we go, yeah. I thought it looked just slightly different from where he was previous. Huge, huge moment in this match. Almost seemed to take a little bit more off of that there. I mean, kind of almost hit them quite soft in a way. It looked incredibly soft to hit them, but just, yeah.
But they still just pinged open.
Yeah,
just caught them really well.
It's just all about timing.
Well, you saw him. He showed some frustration. Threw his hands up in the air with the way the ball's finished, but he should be thrilled to have made a ball.
Yeah, definitely.
He gets to control the table, and we talked about it earlier. Lee's match play is right up there, so he doesn't necessarily have to take these out in one visit. You know, players, you know, if you're as good as match players Lee, just getting your first opportunity to take colour set can be enough to, you know, win you the frame.
Exactly. I mean, if you just said to him before that break, look, you're going to make a ball. They're not going to be really easy, but you're going to be at the... He'd just snap your hand off for it. I just want first dibs. I'm going to set up in the match anyway. You know, I'm playing well. I just want a chance to get my hand on the table. And these yellows... Look, this isn't an easy clearance, but if he can make this ball down the cushion... I think the yellow, this yellow here doesn't go into this corner pocket. That's going to be his obvious sort of area that he needs to get into. But look, you're 1-0 up in sets. If you can just dolly this yellow into the corner pocket now, down the cushion, you're probably going to leave yourself a really good angle on this one to top it through and disturb that area. So it's not the end of the world if this hangs over the pocket, because he's going to take control of that corner pocket to an extent. But he wants this in, make no mistake. And yellows are definitely the better ball. Oh, he's missed it by some distance, and I think that red now squeezes past that yellow into the corner pocket.
Well, it's very tight into the corner pocket, and you can see Declan's having a very good look at it.
These are huge moments in this match. See that gritty, determined look on Declan's face.
I suspect that's probably, and I'm being very harsh because that was an incredibly tough pot, Lee Clough's first open ball he's missed in this match, I think. I'm not sure, it might be.
It is indeed his first missed pot of the match, yeah.
30 seconds.
So 30 seconds has been called.
Of course, Declan can use an extension if he wishes to, an extra 30 seconds. And he has. That's exactly what he's done.
79 minutes into the match, and it is literally on a knife edge.
He's about to say he's back looking at that red. Does it pass the yellow to the corner?
I think from the overhead it looks like it definitely does, but from how we're looking at it on our screens now, it sort of doesn't really look like it goes. Is he playing the red off the yellow? He is, and that's opened that red up, and it's still not easy, but he's getting there.
Lovely shot, that. Really creative. Not just the fact that he's managed to make a ball, but the fact that he gets to just nudge that yellow to the rail and open up another one of his reds just a fraction more.
Yeah, look, this is tough, but this is where you build your reputation as a good or a great player. Is frames like this. You know, the big frames, the important frames. We see it in other sports, and I think I'm a bit of a tennis fan, and watching Djokovic recently. When the Aussie Open, it's the big points, the break points, and the important stages of the match where he comes to the fore. And this is one of those stages for Declan where he really needs to find something, because 2-0 down on one each is, I don't even need to tell you how much of a difference that is.
Yeah, absolutely. And good news, bad news for Declan in that shot. He does manage to squeeze the red in. Bad news, the yellow's gone up towards the black and made the black, as a pot down the rail, a problem. He's still in a pretty good position for a double if he can get that far.
In a good position for a double into the middle pocket, yeah, definitely. Could potentially look actually at leaving the red to the right of the black as his last ball and playing that double into the middle. I think that's what I'd be trying to look at if I could. Declan's obviously not looking to go that way.
Well, he's got a few ways of getting to the area which would make the double fairly, comfortable. I was going to say fairly routine, but nothing's routine when there's this much pressure on it.
No, and I don't think the red and yellow on the right hand side of the cushion, I don't think the red passes the yellow into the middle pocket. So this is a really tough finish for Declan, and he needs this a lot more than he does.
He does. I mean, his options are, I think you're right. He has to either take the red nearest the right corner pocket first and then go back up a couple of shots later for the red higher up, or he could, if he got straight behind it, just decide to play it as a plant. There's a huge gap between them, but it would be, if you get right behind it, it's makeable.
Yeah. He's nudged the yellow out of the way, which at first glance looks like a good shot, but I don't think he's quite nudged it far enough, and now I don't think the red goes into the corner pocket.
No, but he does have an option with the ball. He could probably just about screw into the yellow.
Yeah, it's close as to whether or not he's straight enough. He doesn't look too bothered. Still got that, but like we say, he's got a bit of a stone face on him. He's got a bit of a...
I think he can just about screw into this yellow and open up that red again.
30 seconds.
Oh, he could comfortably.
Well, it's a great shot because it now goes... He couldn't afford to play it. You might think, why didn't he play that harder? But if he'd have played it harder, the screw wouldn't have taken straight away. So he might not have been, it would have been a lot more difficult to make the cannon that he made.
Yeah, he would have actually missed the balls altogether.
Yeah, but this isn't really getting any easier for Declan. But
getting on that red's one thing. Getting on that red in a way where you can get back out to get onto the black as a double is another thing.
30 seconds.
So 30 seconds has been called. Declan has taken his extension already as well for this frame. So this is huge moments in this match. And he's just taking his eye off the pot. Now look, it's not disastrous because these yellows aren't really in a position where you can clear them, but Lee's back at the table, and
he's got more balls on the table. That's the thing. He needs to use all his experience and match play knowledge here to work out an opportunity in a few shots' time. But the one thing that Declan did with his chance he's just had, he kept nudging Lee Clough's balls safer and safer.
He did as a bit of an insurance policy. Yeah, I think if I was Declan though, I think Lee would probably be the last person I'd want in this situation. You know he's going to play the right shot. You know he's got an intelligent shot in him. You know that's kind of his strength really, his shot selection, and there's a lot of experience there for Lee. I think he's just going to leave Declan wedged to this red. Yeah. Not many people would have thought of that shot. It's a brilliant shot.
Yeah, clever thinking. Leaving it wedged to next to that red, although it's just been called touching ball, which does make a slight bit of difference. Means that it just really limits what Declan can do.
If that's been declared touching ball, there's a shot here for Declan if he can come off this back cushion with right hand side and try and snooker Lee behind the black. It's a very delicate shot, but it's touching ball, so he doesn't have to contact the red first. It's already touching. Needs that to grip. Needs it to slow down. Almost a great shot.
Yeah, just short. Just a fraction more side, I should say, not short. Fraction more side.
Yeah, it's a good effort from Declan, but Lee again, just favourite for this frame, but not.
Yeah, he's not a huge favourite by any stretch.
No,
he needs to find 1 or 2 really good shots to keep hiding that white away. Because both Declan's balls do go. Yes, the black's got a little bit more tricky. I don't think it doubles to the middle pocket anymore. But, you know, you don't want to give Declan an opportunity to get that far.
You don't know, and I say we see Lee just trying to figure out what he wants to do here, but it's not as easy as it could be. You'd always assume, like we say, when you've got more balls on the table that you're a big favourite in the frame, but Declan's reds where they are, you need to be careful. Yeah, it's a clever shot from Lee. Very clever shot. I think he's left a gap, so Declan can hit the red over the middle pocket, but does he want to be? I don't think he can quite cut that into the middle, so in trouble.
Yeah, Lee Clough choosing to nudge red to the rail rather than just try and get one of his balls. He could have played that same ball he just played down towards the corner pocket to develop it and get the white to a similar sort of area. But by nudging the red safer, it's much more control for him in the frame.
Yeah, well, I think from Declan's point of view, you probably just want to promote this red, get it out, knowing that Lee can't actually really, or is unlikely to clear at this visit, and throw the gauntlet down to Lee a little bit and say, well, look, you know, go on then, clear up. Doesn't look full of ideas, does he?
Yeah, it's tricky. He's one bad shot away from giving Declan an opportunity to do something. But he's still favourite for the frame, but he's favourite, but he's going to have to come up with a couple of really good shots still to earn that chance.
Yeah, it's almost like, at the moment he's trying not to lose the frame, if that makes sense, and it's a bit of a game of cat and mouse here. If that yellow closest to the black wasn't touching, was a little bit further away, there could be an argument for skimming off the side of it and snookering Declan, but I think it's touching. Well, it's too close anyway for risk of the double kiss. Lee just, I mean, it's not often you see Lee looking clueless when he's at a pool table, but doesn't seem to have an awful lot of idea. Again, might see him wedged next to the red, actually. Obviously, he wasn't touching the cushion.
And again, he doesn't want it to be touching ball. No, I don't think it is this time. Just a little gap there, so really limits what Declan can do. He can brush off this, and that's about it.
Yeah, just try and leave Lee at distance, push that red more towards the centre of that middle pocket, so it's going to be harder for Lee to defend now. So Declan more than hanging in there in this frame, but well, it seems to be the way, doesn't it? You cut these games of cat and mouse, these tight frames. Haven't had a single one, and then come 3 each in a set. It's
deciding frame and a cagey frame appears.
Yeah,
it's amazing how often that happens.
The problem Lee's got here as well is if he leaves the white anywhere down in this bottom right hand side of the table, apart from snooker and Declan can play the this red off of. He's got a big pocket to play off of that red into the middle pocket. So, I mean, Lee really, unless he can find that, he's in a bit of trouble here.
Well, he could try and do something similar as the shot did a couple of shots ago and try and nudge the red towards the rail again.
Are we going to see him attack?
Oh, he's gone in off. Disaster.
It's a disaster.
And he did attack.
Wow.
He probably didn't want to, but he did.
No, of course he didn't want to, and that was the problem. There was no way he could defend there, really. It was such a difficult shot to defend. It was easier to attack, and first foul of the match for Lee. And
strange situation for Declan. He's got a free shot here, but it's hard to get the black out without moving that yellow. And if he moves that yellow, it could get in the way of the red. You can make a case here for just doubling the yellow out the way and backing yourself to make that black down the rail.
I think that's what he's going to do. I think that's what he's got to do, really. But doesn't want to double that red, that yellow, to the point where it comes back across and covers the red.
Oh, that's exactly what he's done.
Is it? I think he's just about okay.
Oh, that's... It's amazing, isn't it? You just think, double it out the way. You don't give the thought of, where's it going to go when after it hits the second cushion?
It's not your first thought, is it? No, you're right.
He's just okay. He's got a fraction lucky there.
Needs the right angle, though. Doesn't want to be taking the white away. These are one of those shots where he's played that really, really well. It's one of those shots where it's really crucial to screw back, you know, 5-6 inches, no more, no less. And under pressure, they're a lot more difficult than they look. It's a really good shot from Declan. Wants to get as close to this middle pocket as possible. That is as well as he could have played that shot there.
There's still pressure on this black. He could not be better on it. But he needs this black to make it 1 set all.
Slightly awkward cueing as well, and he's already fouled in this match with his yellow, with his hand on a yellow. No, he's missed it. He's missed it. Oh no.
I did not expect that.
I didn't, but he played it fairly firm, you know. I think sometimes you want to give them the best chance you can, but I know obviously that maybe that snooker background. I know a lot of snooker players say they never want to roll a ball under pressure. They always like to play a firm stroke on a ball under pressure, but I'm surprised he's played it at that pace.
Yeah, I really, when he, I thought, you know, that was always going to be tough, that black, and getting on it and making it, but once he got so good on it, I just fancied him to make it all day. Really did. It's not easy for Lee though. There's now pressure on Lee.
This isn't an easy opener, but he's going to be dislodging one of his bad yellows. Huge moments in this match, huge. Characteristic pause before he delivers the cue. And
he has worked out really well for him.
He's got the perfect angle. He's got options here. He can play this yellow into the corner, the top left as we look at it. He can play it into there and try and play the yellow off the cushion. If he leaves himself after making this ball, if he comes up anywhere up table, he's got a very easy plant. I think we're probably going to see him try and go into it. Each to their own. I see the plant actually. I think I favour the plant but don't want to leave yourself straight. Don't want to leave yourself straight.
Yeah, the only problem with the plant is the yellow you are hitting has got every chance of moving away to the left as we look now.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Especially as that yellow is really in the sort of right in the pocket and right in the right hand side of the pocket.
Yeah, and if the white was a couple of rolls to the left of where it is now, he could just play the plant and then the white drifts across naturally, and it's you kind of can't go wrong really. But that's played really, really well from Lee. I think it's just got away from the pocket, so he's simplest of yellows now. And we say crucial times of matches. We mentioned that tennis reference earlier, and Lee's made a big finish there under pressure, and Declan's missed a black under pressure, and that is the difference between 1 each and 2-0 in sets.
Yeah, very impressive last 4 or 5 balls there from Lee Clough, and Declan Brennan will be distraught because he had the black to make it 1 set all. It is Lee Clough that goes 2 sets to 1 up, and you can look at the stats in the match so far, and it's sort of been, well, you can see the break dishes and reverse dishes. Declan's had more of them, but he's just made more mistakes. 3 missed pots to 1, 2 fouls to 1. Declan knows this match should be 1-1, and he's going to need all of his temperament to get back in the match, and we will see if he can do that after the break.
The IPA World Pool Championships on Free Sports is brought to you by 888 Poker. The IPA World Pool Championships on Free Sports is brought to you by 888 Poker.
Welcome back to the first evening of the 888 Poker World Pool Championships. We are 2 sets through in this evening match between Lee Clough and Declan Brennan, and Lee Clough won the first set 4-0, but Declan Brennan missed a black down the rail to make it 1 set all, and Lee Clough counter-cleared to go 2 sets to nil ahead.
And a great clearance it was too from Lee. After Declan missed the ball down the cushion, he will be, I mean, he's going to need every single ounce of that temperament he's got, which is a great temperament he's got, but it's hard for anyone to kind of not let that play on your mind, surely.
Yeah, as well as the temperament, which means he's going to have to take the chances he gets given. He's going to need a bit of help from Lee in terms of Lee not getting the chances, because Lee looks like he's going to take them. He's looked so sharp all the way through. He's hardly made a mistake so far in this match.
He certainly played the better of the two so far. The bookies split them at the start, but yeah, he has played the better of the two. Just that little bit more control. And like we say, the big frames, the big shots, and the biggest one of all was that deciding frame of that second set, and Declan made that crucial error on the black, and Lee mopped up. And to be fair, when he came to the table, he had a really difficult first shot. You know, a thin cut into the corner pocket, and you know, a tough 4 balls left, and especially at such a crucial part of the match. And like all great players, Lee made it and finds himself 2-0 up in sets.
Oh, it's a good opening break in this set from Declan, but the split's not great. He's got problems in a couple of 3 areas. No real clear favourite of colour set. It's all a bit messy.
Yeah, it always tends to be the way when you're chasing the match as well. They don't seem to come out perfect when you're a couple of sets behind, or you're chasing the match. You see the match length just taking itself to 100 minutes now.
Yeah, the key for Declan has just got to forget the 2-0 and focus on the race to 4. That's all he's playing now, is a race to 4 and then reset.
Yeah, momentum can soon build as well. That is the beauty of this sets format that we play in this World Championships, which I'd like to see more of it throughout the season. You know, a couple of our other events I'd love to see. I think the sets format's brilliant. I know, say similar to darts, you know, they only really do it in a couple of tournaments a year, but I think for the fans, for your average Joe, even for the players, I think it's just so much more excitement. There's so many more crucial frames. That last frame there was 7-3 to Lee on aggregate score. Won the first set 4-0, 3 each in the second set. At 7-3, the drama just wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't have been as crucial a frame. We wouldn't have had that edginess. Perhaps Declan would have potted the black down the cushion, you know, to make it 7-4. But just that extra bit of tension, that extra bit of pressure, I think it's great. I love the sets format.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you on that one. I think it's the best way to play and watch pool.
More excitement, more crucial frames, more important frames. I mean, if tennis was first to 15 games, you know, and somebody goes 11-3 up, you're probably going to turn off, aren't you?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But when they're halfway through, or they're getting towards a tiebreak, for example, you switch it on, don't you?
Oh, Declan's done very, very well to get this far through the finish.
You can't call him Declan.
Oh, no. I could try.
You could try. I'd just avoid him afterwards if I were you.
Yeah, but this finish is getting harder by the shot.
Yeah, just ever so slightly too. I mean, it's a good pot. You know, it wasn't an easy pot at all. But if the white had just slowed up a little bit, he'd have had this. Choice perhaps even of a double into the middle, or the yellow into the corner, which I think if you're in the right spot does just about go. It's tough. Yeah, the double kiss was always on there, I think.
Yeah, he was really trying to hit that firm with some screw to just straighten up that angle, but unfortunately could not avoid that double kiss. And the big problem with potting 5 yellows is that you've opened up a huge part of the table for Lee.
Yeah, I agree, and mentioned it earlier, Lee's an absolute master of mopping up these types of frames, and great all-round pool player, as we know, but you won't see Lee push the boat out and go game now, for example, where I don't think many would, but you know, the temptation's there for this ultra-attacking rule set, and for people to kind of go game, but I think you'd always see Lee play the right shot, attack at the right times. As we say that, I think he's going to attack. I think he's going to bring the white out towards the centre of the table, try and leave himself an angle on the ball into the middle pocket to disturb the red and yellow at the top of the table. And if he can do that, the finish will be on. So I think he'd have liked a little bit more angle, but he can go into this red and yellow at the top of the table. And just any nudge on the red will promote that, and we'll see it open the frame up for him.
It looks like the natural angle would be just to miss the red, which is not what he wants.
No. I think it kind of more proves my point. Exactly what I'm saying there is others may have say came to the table and thought, well, hold on, there's a red and a yellow safe, there's a red on the cushion, you know, let's just be sensible here and play a safety and force an error out of Declan. But when and if the time's right, if you can attack where it's risk free, which is effectively what Lee's doing, you know, because he's missed the cannon there, but he's always got a plan B, which is now to play that safety he could have played earlier. Well, basically, it's shot selection and knowledge, and Lee's got that in abundance.
Yeah, saying someone has got an all-round game and you know, they'll play the right shots doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to play attacking options.
100%. It's just about playing the right shot.
Yeah. If he believes it's the right shot to go the attacking option, he goes for the attacking option, and he can do that with the best of them. It just means he can pull back and slow it down if he needs to. He can play a few different styles.
It's a sign of being confident as well, and a sign of someone that's you know, maybe 2-0 up in a match, and he's playing this red off of the yellow as well here, which again, it's such an aggressive choice of shot to play, but he's absolutely nailed that. He's perfect. He is absolutely perfect on this. He wants to contact the yellow half ball or quarter ball. Natural angle should bring it out for position on the red into the same corner pocket. Great shot.
It really is, but for me, it wasn't. The great shot was the screw shot. If he finishes 3-4 inches too far or 3-4 inches short, that shot is so much harder. Where he landed it is exactly where he would have put it with his hand.
And part of the impressive thing about that is the fact that he's even thought of it in the first place. He might make the game look easy, and it might look obvious once he's played the shot. But you know, if you're going to be honest with yourself and at that stage, would you have played that shot? I'm not so sure that many people would have done.
I think it would have been fairly low down on the numbers.
Has to be careful with his top there. A little bit in there, it's just the wrong angle.
Betwixt and between, he wanted to be a bit further down the table or a bit straighter on the one down the rail.
Exactly, he's in no man's land here, but still at the table, still in control, I suppose, to an extent. But is he going to take the cut down the corner, or is he going to take the easy pot and try and leave himself a double? Will he screw across table? He'll know.
I think it'd be hard to play the open pot and get onto the ball down the rail. So he wants to. Well, he's made his decision.
And he'll be leaving these yellows on if he does miss. So another big shot. He's missed it. He's missed it. He's missed it. He played it with running right-hand side, which kind of flicked it towards that corner, and we saw him, you know, played it dead weight. It almost took the ball, but it's not to be for Lee.
You see him hang his head in disappointment, even at 2 sets to 0 up. He's not taking anything lightly. He knows how easy this match can turn around.
Exactly that. Oh, dearie me.
That's the second time in this match he's had a ball do that to him.
What is going on with that same pocket as well?
He gets there eventually. Declan Brennan does take a 1-0 lead in this third set, one he needs if he wants to continue this match. Lee will be a bit frustrated because he could have almost broken the back of the match there if he could have made the finish and then maybe got a ball off his own break, and it really could have been the beginning of the end. But by giving that away, it's sort of giving Declan a bit more hope, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think like we see Lee's definitely got a really good temperament when it comes to. I mean, you don't consistently win the amount of tournaments Lee Clough wins without having a great temperament, but he doesn't mind showing his emotions a bit more than Declan. And I think we've pointed out before, when it comes to having a good temperament, just because you show your emotion doesn't mean you haven't got a good temperament. It's just a case of not letting what's happened affect your next shot. If you want to screw your face up and shout, scream, punch the table, whatever, it's kind of fine as long as the next time you come to the table, you're refreshed and have a clear mind.
And prime example of that is the man who won the last tournament, Jordan Sheppard, won the Netherlands World Series event only a matter of 2-3 weeks ago, and he's the sort of guy, he will show his frustration, he will bang his cue on the floor, he will let you know when he's annoyed, but he then plays the next shot with it gone and forgotten, and he can deal with it, but he lets it out rather than keeping it in.
He does, and he says it helps him deal with it, which makes sense, really, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you bottle it up, you can get more and more frustrated, and these reds couldn't have come out much nicer for Declan.
Yeah, this is exactly what he needs. Just won the last frame after a Lee Clough mistake, and he's been handed this opportunity. It looks like he's set to take the red at the top of the table, but would you not want to keep that red as your last ball to get on the black? Something near the top end of the table? Sorry.
Ideally he wanted to. I think he's just run into this yellow. Run into the yellow that he ran into there, which has kind of made him reroute, but it's such an easy finish that it still shouldn't pose too much of a problem. He just has to leave an angle on his last red to get back up table. A good chance we'll see that red be the one closest to the right middle, perhaps, but we'll see how Declan feels about it. If he can just stun up table in the gap. He's played that really well. I think the white, anywhere where it is now, as his last shot from red to black, would be perfect.
Yeah, and he's got a nice amount of margin of error to land there if he can leave that ball for his last ball. So, yeah, still a very good opportunity from here. Looks to be fairly perfect. He can take the red to the left centre, or I suspect he'll take the red to the top right, because it's just drop it in and it will leave himself just rollins.
Yeah, he's straight down to it. He's obviously got the perfect angle. Slightly awkward cueing, but you can see they're just anywhere down table, as long as you've got some angle, anything but straight. And it's going to leave a simple positional shot from red to black to take a 2-0 lead in this set. And a 2-0 lead for the second set running, but finds himself clinging on in this match somewhat.
Yeah, he'll be still frustrated with that previous set, but he's got to just focus on this one. Exactly as you said, worked out, rerouted his pattern, left that ball to the right centre, and he's finished perfect on this black. And in the black goes, and he does take a 2-0 lead in this match, but it is Lee Clough that has a 2-0 lead in the match.
The IPA World Pool Championships on Free Sports is brought to you by 888 Poker. The IPA World Pool Championships on Free Sports is brought to you by 888 Poker.
Welcome back to the 888 Poker World Pool Championships. It is day one and the evening match between Lee Clough and Declan Brennan. 2-0 to Lee Clough in sets, but 2-0 in this third set to Declan Brennan, and he was 2-0 up in the last set. Can he convert this 2-0 into a set winning, get himself back into this match?
Yeah, 2-0 up in that last set, and crucially missed a run out of position at 2-0. Should have been 3-0 up, and then missed that black down the cushion to clinch that second set. And you're not human if that's not on your mind to an extent. I mean, you're not human. It's got to be killing him, but you know, you got to just knuckle down, and he's doing it so well. He has got, like we say, you know, good temperament, and if you can just nick this set, I mean, 2-1, you're not a coin flip, obviously, but you're well back into this match. And another great break. Seemed to connect really well there, but look how many balls are in the top half of the table, but nothing down. Yeah,
slightly different to all his previous breaks. He held the white in the centre of the table this time, rather than coming back up the centre of the table.
Yeah, balls, a little bit of top spin.
A little bit, yeah, like almost a stun, and then it runs forward again. Yeah, that little bit there.
Yeah, still got a good reaction off the pack, but yeah, not a break like we saw previously.
Yeah, but he is consistently catching the break as well as he just has, and spraying them far and wide. So first dry break for a while.
Yeah, and that's all you can ask, because obviously with a break, I liken it a little bit to talking about our sponsors, but 888 Poker, but I liken it a bit to poker, where you've got there is skill involved. There's a lot of skill involved in poker, in breaking the balls, but you do have that element of luck, and there's just sometimes there's nothing you can do apart from, you know, make the right play as such, or just connect as well as you can. Yeah, the rest of it, just lap of the gods.
Yeah, hit them as well as you can, and then hope that if you consistently do that, then over a period of time, you know, you'll come out on the right side of it. And yeah, there is a bit of luck in the break, but there's also a lot of skill.
They say in poker, you just want to make sure that you've made the right play, and if you win, you win, you lose. But you know, same with Paul. Just as long as you're connecting with the break and hitting them as well as you can. I think sometimes people change their break, maybe when they are breaking well, and they kind of overreact, if you know what I mean. You're breaking well, but they move the white around. Well, I don't know. You're connecting well. It's the luck that's stopping the balls going in.
Yeah, you keep spreading them far and wide. Eventually, you'll start making them, and consistently.
Yeah.
It may not help you out in one match, but over the course of a season, you know, if you just keep hitting them consistently,
that's all you can do. You can only control the controllables.
That was a delicate little shot from Lee. If he hits centre pocket there, the white's got a danger of running too far. He potted that off the straightest part of the centre pocket as he possibly could to hold the white, and he's done it very, very well.
Yes, yeah, they're the little shots that not everybody would appreciate. Just not necessarily how good the shot is, but how clever the shot is. Oh my God! What on earth was that?
That's incredible.
Has he had a kick?
I was going to say, every time I see a player miss a ball like this, I think there must be a kick. But I think he just missed it. I think he's just taken his eye off the pot.
I don't know. The way the cue ball's reacted there, and it hasn't, because he played that with topspin, and it's kind of just almost as if he's played a stun run through towards the. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there and say that was a kick, but.
Oh, you're too kind, to be honest.
I am too kind, but I'm going to chalk him up for a missed pot though.
Kick or not, the missed pot is down.
Kick or not, you can't argue with the facts.
Yeah. But either way, what it has done is given Declan a chance to go 3-0 ahead. He had a chance to go 3-0 ahead in the last set, did not take it, played a poor positional shot and ended up missing the black.
Yeah, and he's only really got one problem area, which is this yellow on the side cushion to the right of the middle pocket as we look at it. But so not an easy finish for Declan, but a finish nonetheless. And you're 2-0 up in the set. You know, you need to make these count, because we said before, they hurt more when you have a chance to win the frame.
Well, that's not the position he was playing for, but he got some options.
I think he's perfect on the double. I don't know if that was his original plan, but I think he's on it.
I think the yellow he ended up nudging up the table does slide past this red to the top right. It's not to say he won't play the double in a couple of shots' time. I think he's possibly playing for the plant to the corner and just come up a fraction short. Wanted to probably reach the bulk line with that shot.
Might be forced into playing the double. Just playing the easy yellow over the top right corner pocket and just bring the white out a little and just play a straight double. If you get it, you're guaranteed to be on the yellow you're closest to now, and it should be frame over. Sometimes if you can. There we go. He's just looking at it now. He isn't going to let this match go without a fight. He's still got that same determined look that he had at the start of the match.
Yeah, very little change in his mannerisms around the table and his facial expressions. Still looks just as focused now as he did at the start. Doesn't look too frustrated. He's shown a couple bits in here and there, but very, very little really.
Yeah, he's played that really, really well, and he's got the perfect angle now as well. I think to screw into this side cushion and come back out towards the centre of the table. It's a great shot from Declan. 3-0. He should take this set if he can just secure this frame. All of a sudden we've got a match on our hands. Has he just underdone that a little bit?
Yeah, would have loved another, well, probably 3, 4, 5 inches on that one.
Yeah, he's not perfect. I mean, he should be fine still, but he's got plenty of margin of error to land in over this side of the table. Just straightened up there. It's nicely played. This will be 2-1. He won't make a mistake from here, surely not. And it will be Lee to break next.
He's worked out this finish very well. The way he's just took his time over the walls in the top half of the table, made his mind up, and he's just worked his way through them and ended up with that simple black. And he does get the 3-0 lead in the set this time. Very much in the driving seat in this set. Still needs to wait for his opportunity, as you say. It's Lee Clough to break.
Yeah, I think you see Lee kind of looks around the room a little bit more, doesn't he? I think exactly that. He has a little wonder. I don't know if each to their own. Declan's kind of seems to be a bit more just stares at the table. He gets in that zone.
Yeah, probably couldn't tell you who's in the arena around him, whereas Lee's looking around in
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly that.
Mind you, there is always that element when a ball is as easy as the one that Lee just missed is missed. You kind of want to make sure all the ball players around know that it was a kick, or did you just see that kick I just had? It's you don't want anyone thinking you just missed an easy ball.
I think after the ball he's just missed, he's looking around to try and hope that there weren't many people watching that. But
yeah,
I think he's forgetting about the tens of thousands watching at home.
Exactly.
Don't worry if there's 20 or 30 in the arena, Lee. Most of them are playing.
I think he just may have caught the first ball, the front ball rather than the second ball down just a fraction, but he's still made a couple of balls. Got a very big split.
Yes.
I think he caught that. I did him a discredit. I think he caught that really well.
He caught it, yeah. Again, not an awful lot of power going into it, but it is a controlled break, and he's if the red bottom right corner goes, he's going yellows anyway.
Yeah, my first thought was yellows. The only problem with yellows is that black. Does it go to the top right?
I think it does, yeah. He may only have 3/4 of a pocket. He probably got a full pocket, in fact, but yeah, it's
Of course, if that didn't fall, it would have been a foul as well.
It would have been, yeah. Needs to hit a cushion after contact, unless you put a ball. Lee just looking at his margin of error, needs to stun back a foot and a half.
Yeah, we just saw as the camera was panning around there, the black. I think he's got all but a full pocket for that black. May not be able to just see the jaw, but I think he can just about. So that shouldn't be a problem for him, especially as he has that yellow over the right centre, which is just a perfect last ball for him.
Yeah, it's just, again, a little bit awry there. He needed to screw back, say, 12 to 16 inches or so, and he's come back more like 2 feet. And just making this easy finish a little bit tricky. He's done a couple of times in this set as well, so maybe just lapsing in concentration. Maybe, had a quite a long match earlier. Maybe it's this format, playing back-to-back matches with just a couple of hours rest can play a factor, can play its part.
Yeah, you saw from that camera angle just previously that the black does go comfortably. I wouldn't say it is the full pocket, but it's plenty of it.
Yeah, we're going to see Lee take the slightly more difficult pot. He's got a very easy pot he could play top left if he wanted to, but it doesn't afford great position. So a more difficult pot, but if he gets this, he's back on the road to recovery, and he should be in a good spot to make this 3-1 in this set. Needs to keep going. It's perfect, absolutely perfect. One of those things we mentioned earlier about your average player in the pub who just pots the easiest ball they can see. And that's what your amateur or your basic pool player or someone that just plays for a bit of fun does. You see there Lee just obviously taking clearly not the easiest pot on, but it was what he needed to do to give himself best chance of winning this frame.
Yeah, if you just take the easiest pot on every time, you will end up eventually with a couple of balls on rails here and there, or one that's tied up, and eventually have nothing to go at, and then you're just going to lose.
Exactly
that. And that is not the way to play the game at this level. You work out your patterns, and actually, well, you'll know better than most, Dan. You work backwards from the black. You kind of know your whole route, and sometimes you land off angle, like Lee did 2 or 3 shots ago, and you just readjust that whole pattern.
Yep.
30 seconds.
See Lee's top there, full of sponsors. I mean, there's I know it was a great season he had last season. He's continued his form into the start of this year with a couple of wins and stuff. But look at that. I mean, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a big bullseye on his back as well, just for good measure.
Is it a hint of jealousy there as well? Maybe just a hint.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah. No, fair play to him. That's good. It's not easy in the pool world to do that.
No, it should be a sponsor's dream though. The size of his top shirt, the tower, 6'6" is he? 6'5".
He's certainly,
he's a big guy.
Certainly is.
Plenty of room for badges on there.
And he does spend a lot of time in tournaments and at the table, so you get plenty
of coverage,
plenty of bang for your buck. Well, this hampered queuing for this black, and we already touched on this black. Although it goes, it's not the full pocket, and he's definitely hampered by this red. So this isn't a gimme.
Not at all. We've seen him awkward queuing a few times in this match though, and he's yet to miss when awkward queuing. So for 3-1, nicely done.
Yeah, very, very well done. Lee Clough does win that frame, and he does reduce his deficit in this set to 3-1. But he does have a 2-0 lead. Big moments here for Declan, this break. We've just seen with Lee, he's just made a break and dish, so if Declan comes up dry here, he may not touch the table again until he's breaking in a deciding frame. That's how quickly things can turn around.
Yeah, we see it all the time at this top level. A 3-1 can easily be 3 each with just one dry break, so it will be the sort of thing that pops into your mind. It's probably be more in Lee's mind than anything. Come on, one dry break, one dry break. This can be 3 each, and I can finish this match off. So very focused.
Definitely run into break. 3 frames to 1. Side ready.
See his last break. There was a little bit of top spin. See if he. I don't think he meant that, do you? So because he's been breaking well, just drawing the white back towards that back cushion in a straight line. It's a good break, and that wasn't a good break really. No control there on the white ball. Almost went straight into the middle pocket, and He's not made a ball either.
Yeah, just watch this white. Look how it arcs itself into the centre pocket and just avoids it. And that's not what he's trying to do. We've seen in this match so far, when he's breaking at his best, that white just comes straight back up the middle of the table.
That's right.
Stays out of harm's way.
And when doing that, but you're obviously not hitting that front ball flush. You want to be hitting that front ball dead centre to transfer as much of the force, you know, as you possibly can into the pack. And you know, by catching it slightly off centre, you are losing pace, you are losing timing, you are losing, you know, less and less chance of you making a ball off the break. These reds look nice. I think the yellows wouldn't be, you know, out of the question for Lee Clough, but reds he goes. Needs to leave himself an angle here.
Yeah, I think importantly, every red's got a pocket. I think just that one red, just below the triangle area, that it does go to the corner, but he needs to get rid of his other red first.
Yeah, there might be the tiniest of gaps between these two as we look at it just here. Whether or not that red goes through that gap, I don't know. But if not, he's got plenty of options to dislodge it.
30 seconds.
He hasn't come as far down table as he wanted. He can still snick this into the middle pocket, but he's losing the cue ball a little bit.
I think the red does sneak past the black into the corner pocket as well, so that's an option. And of course he's got another red just below that that does go to the left, but they're all slightly awkward angles, aren't they? He doesn't have a good angle on anything.
Yeah, he wanted to be slightly further down table, but I didn't realise. I think that red does go past about you right. It's tight. The other option is to play the red directly in line with the bottom of the table, the white and the red. Play that red off of the yellow, and that will open the pocket up, but it's a shot you'd only really want to be playing if you were directly behind it.
Yeah, that really would be a big shot.
See him take on the cut.
She could flick in off here, off the yellow. There's a chance. He's was able to avoid it. Well-controlled shot, but he's still... I'm saying he's well-controlled shot. He's well-controlled to avoid the yellow, but he's not quite come out far enough.
Might have the option to cut this red into the bottom right corner as we look at it, and just flick sort of half ball onto the yellow just directly next to it, and then you should be... The white should come out, and then it should open the pocket up for this red, but it's you're semi-trusting to luck a little bit. It's all about this cannon and playing it at the right pace. Needs the white to come out. He's got that half ball, quarter ball contact, but he's just gone too far.
Yeah, the red he's nearest to, it looks tight, but he may just sneak in. No, this camera angle shows it doesn't sneak in.
No, and he's in a world of pain now because all of Declan's yellows go. He's 3-1 down in the set, and if it had just slowed up half a ball to a ball's roll, he'd have had this simple red into the middle, and he'd had something to go at.
30 seconds.
He's not looking at a skill shot, is he?
Well, red into yellow and get the red moving towards the corner pocket.
Surely not.
That'd be an incredibly tough shot to pull off. I think, well, I was going to say, I think the swerve shot around the black's probably easier than that. You're not guaranteed to make it and get a good angle on the next red.
He's got that grin on his face like he's about to try something audacious. He's looking at it. He is looking at it.
30 seconds.
This is such a tough shot. Surely not.
Yeah, that was tough. It looks terrible, but it was so hard to pick out that angle to get that going towards the pocket.
Yeah, it was an absolute last resort. I don't think it's worked out too badly, though. I don't think he's left Declan anything easy, has he?
I don't think he's got an open pot. And if he hasn't, he's got to find a good safety, and that isn't easy either.
No, I think he's had a bit of luck there, Lee. Not an obvious safety, and
Extension call.
yeah, I've seen Declan call for his extension.
Can you see the yellow that's nearest? I think he certainly can. The nearest the top right corner. Be almost forced into taking that one down the rail.
Well, I'm not so sure he can, no.
Just playing the safety shot. Looks to have played it very well.
I think, yeah, I don't think well, Lee's just having a look now to see if that red passes into the bottom right corner. I don't think it does it?
I think if he's...
No,
he can't see
no
the red nearest the pocket. The red that's nearest him, I think he can see enough of it. He can see a little bit of it, I should say, but it doesn't go to the corner. So there's no shot there. So that's a very good shot from Declan, because if that white goes an extra inch up the table, then he does leave a red on. And if it's an inch lower,
shot,
he didn't have that much margin of error.
It was a really good shot from Declan.
Seconds.
Are we going to see Lee come up with something incredibly creative, like he tried on his previous visit to the table?
Can he double it off this back cushion, off of the yellow into the middle pocket? Has he even got the angle to do that? I think the black might be in the way.
Yeah, can he see enough of it? I don't think he can.
He's going up and down table. Up and down table to play the red into the corner pocket.
With the shot clock beeping away.
Well, that's unlucky. Unlucky, it's 2 shots, and it's a golden opportunity for Declan to take this second, this third set and make this match 2-1. Declan just taking a little bit of time to figure out what the right thing to do. I think he might see him play the red. He's got one obvious yellow that he's gonna play first up and just promote that into an easier, more potable position. Be careful with his hand. He's already fouled once. Doesn't want to tie up next to the black.
That's okay.
It's fine.
Using his free shot wisely. Develop his hardest ball. Didn't try and overcomplicate it and try and do too much with that. Just opening up one, back himself to make the others, and work his way around the table. Yeah, he's not in absolutely perfect position, but these are all. Might see him go up table first. He certainly doesn't want to be canning it into the black if he doesn't need to. What's the miss at black, and he has done. Flicking that red away just helps things a little bit as well, so that's not the worst for him at all. Huge number of ways he could go from here. Every ball's got a pocket. In fact, every ball's got a different pocket. All the yellows are. It's not often you see that. It's not, is it? It's like a dice, one for each side, isn't it? One. A practice routine. Yeah. Easiest practice routine of all time. I might have half a chance with this one. might try it. Only half. But even, we're joking, saying, these balls are all near a corner pocket and so on and so forth. But it's still probably looking to keep the yellow over the centre pocket as his last ball. Still got a pattern to work out, even though they are all there. I think that's one of the reasons why it was easy, because it was quite an obvious pattern, to come across table, yellow top left, yellow top right, and then leave this yellow into the middle as your last ball for perfect position on the black. I think that's easy stuff from Declan. I'd like to be a little bit further away from the cushion if he could, but I think worst case scenario we'll see him take the just see if he leaves a cue ball there, he can play the yellow into the middle and just rest onto the red just below it for the simplest of
of 8 balls.
And in goes the black, and Declan Brennan does win the set. Manages to win the set 4-1. Very good set from him, but he's still 2-1 behind in this first round match of the 888 Poker World Pool Championships.
The IPA World Pool Championships on Free Sports is brought to you by 888 Poker.